CBS News senior national security contributor Michael Morell served as both acting and deputy director of the CIA under President Obama, and he was also President George W. Bush's intelligence briefer. Mike, good morning to you. We just heard a bit from Roxana about how bad the situation there is in Afghanistan. What I'm curious to know is, why is this happening so quickly?
So, Tony, the Afghan forces needed the U.S. military to be capable, even marginally capable, of fighting the Taliban. So when the U.S. military left, the capability of those forces declined significantly. That's one reason. The other reason is the will to fight declined, just eroded overnight in April when we announced that we were leaving. So literally thousands of Afghan forces are abandoning their posts. Some of them are going home. Some of them are joining the Taliban because they can read the writing on the wall.
And what are your concerns in the short term about the situation there?
Yeah, so Tony, in the short term, there's a couple concerns. One is for the safety of the Americans there. They are at risk from the Taliban. The Taliban sees the U.S. military force that remains in the country to protect the embassy and the additional force that's coming in to help with the evacuation. They see those forces as invaders, so they are likely to try to attack them. So I would expect attempted suicide attacks against U.S. personnel in Afghanistan. And I would also worry about what we call green on blue attacks. These are attacks by Afghan security forces on Americans. So there are many Afghan security forces that are immensely angry at what the U.S. has done here, and they could take out their weapon and shoot the Americans that they're working with. So there's a couple deep concerns here in the short term about the safety of Americans.
So shifting to the longer term, Mike, we went into Afghanistan in the first place to deny al-Qaeda a staging ground for further attacks on the U.S. after 9/11. In the medium to longer term, is it a concern of yours that they could come back in and set up operations?
Tony, there is no doubt at what's going to happen here. The Taliban is going to take over the government probably in a matter of weeks. They will allow, despite what they say, they will allow al-Qaeda back into the country, and al-Qaeda will start to rebuild. And not only will al-Qaeda that is currently in Afghanistan or in Pakistan be there, but the al-Qaeda guys who have been in Iran for a long time will join them in Afghanistan. And I expect extremists from around the world will want to go to Afghanistan now in sort of a celebration of the defeat of the United States. So I think the capability of the terrorists in Afghanistan is going to increase rapidly over the next several months.
Knowing all of that, then, Mike, should President Biden reconsider this full withdrawal?
So I don't think so, Dana. There is no way we're going to win this war. We've been fighting it for 20 years. We could fight it for another 20 years, and the Taliban will still be waiting us out. So what I think we have to do going forward is we have to figure out a way to collect intelligence without an embassy, to collect intelligence on what al-Qaeda is doing in Afghanistan, to monitor their plans, their capabilities, and we have to figure out how the U.S. military, if those capabilities rebuild to the point of a threat to the homeland, how we're going to use the military to degrade those capabilities and not allow them to attack us again.
Mike, it's Vlad. Those of us of a certain age have that searing image of the evacuation of the U.S. Embassy in Saigon back in 1975. What's less talked about is the humanitarian crisis that followed, something that is going to happen in Afghanistan right now. So what can we do about that?
So, Vlad, there's two issues here. One is Afghan citizens who will flee the country in fear of the Taliban. And they're going to go to largely Pakistan, which is not the most stable country on the planet, so that's going to put Pakistani stability at risk. And they're going to go to Central Asia. The other factor here in terms of humanitarian issues is what happens to those tens of thousands, probably 100,000 Afghans who worked for the United States the last 20 years, for State Department, for the Defense Department, and for CIA. those people will be under threat, and we have to work as hard as we can to get them out of the country.
Mike, we're running out of time, but we spent 20 years, hundreds of billions of dollars, and 2,000 or more American lives on the ground there in Afghanistan, and we're essentially back where we were in 2001. Should we have gotten out way earlier?
Tony, that's what I believe. I believe that we should have left in early 2002, when we had either killed, captured, or driven from Afghanistan al-Qaeda. And we should have left, and we should have told the Taliban, if you ever let al-Qaeda back into the country, we will be back. We should never have made the decision that we are going to try to change Afghanistan into a liberal democracy. That was simply not possible. We should have never tried.
And of course, now we're facing a similar situation, one that we faced in the past as a country. Michael Morell, thank you as always for your insight and analysis. We appreciate it.